Okay, so it seems like Pippa has been annoying even more people with this, John Kiriakou situation with Hasan, right? And I think it is pretty funny because it seems like people are also getting mad at my video on it and also just all of the actions that Pippa has been getting up to. Now, if you guys don't remember, you guys can go back and watch the other videos we made on this, but essentially, to cut the story short, it's essentially Pippa managed to sabotage a collab that Hasan Piker was supposed to have with John Kiriakou, the CIA guy who tells the crazy stories about hummus and stuff like that. And she actually managed to get a cameo, and obviously got him to rethink his collaboration with Hasan, which then Hasan saw, coped a little bit, and then it was extremely funny to see. Now, if you want to see all of that, as I said, it'll be in the previous videos. You guys can go and watch that. But essentially, it seems like some people have been posting it over on a Reddit, which you guys are probably familiar with, especially, with a lot of the VTuber drama going on. And that is r/VTuber drama. And they actually posted my video here. And because obviously I scroll through it just to see if there's anything worth talking about. And yeah, I saw my thumbnail pop up here and I was like, damn, okay, hello. And yeah, it seems like some people are pretty mad, but also some people are clouding on them, which I think is pretty funny, right? And yeah, it says Pipkin Pippa sabotages a Hasan stream, which obviously is my video where we talk about it originally. And yeah, you can see it's got no upvotes whatsoever and 31 comments, which I think is pretty funny. In a lot of people have been saying, watch Pippa and Hasan's clips on this. What a nothing burger. Hasan doesn't really seem to care about Pippa at all, not even in a funny way where he dislikes her. Just a very banal sense. He seemed to not even consider her the reason for the guy maybe not doing an interview, which seems to still be unclear if he backed out or is still doing it. I don't know why Pippa even got involved in this, but for the most part, it seems like she mainly just wanted a cameo from the funny CIA man, and she wouldn't have even publicly admitted to mentioning Hasan if the CIA guy didn't bring it up in said cameo. Now, again, I think this is a pretty cope take because it is very clear that Hasan is pretty, angry about this. And of course, you can see, on the video, he tries to play it off and whatever. But I think that, Hasan deep down does care because, of course, this was a collaboration that would have been pretty big for him and his stream. And I do think that, Pippa was one of the big deciding factors. Now, do I think that Pippa was the entire deciding factor into Hasan and stuff? No, but I do think she was almost the catalyst behind this because, of course, Hasan, with his own actions, has actually managed to move a lot of people away from collaborating. And I think the biggest factor in terms of why John hasn't actually collaborated with Hasan is due to the fact of his own actions, right? Everything that he has done is the reason why he's decided not to. And I think Pippa was just one of those people to kind of push him to looking to the truth and looking to some of the clips and stuff that have been, revealed about Hasan, right? And of course, I'm sure, he seems like a pretty intelligent guy. He probably went and looked at it and went, actually, yeah, you know what? This pink-haired VTuber is right. I should probably rethink my collaboration. And that's how it happened, right? And obviously people said, what a nothing burger, but I still do think it is absolutely hilarious that this ended up happening, right? They're pretty normal behavior for people who don't like Hasan. He'll stub his toe and his haters will go, breaking news. Hasan is done. He broke his leg and he can't walk anymore. So you got to be pretty obsessed with Hasan to even know everything. Even know about him trying to get someone on his stream, let alone care enough to put it in the cameo. Which again, he's been very publicly open about the fact that he was going to collaborate with them. It's not really like a hidden secret that was going to happen. So again, I think, Pippa, obviously knew about that and put it on a cameo, right? I think it is fair enough, right? A lot of people saying, honestly, at this point, Chuds are a bigger fan of Hasan than those who watch him, can't even stop thinking about him, which, yeah, to be honest, right, I think a lot of... there's a lot of people that watch Hasan that don't like him, and that is essentially, how it goes, right? But again, okay, like, sure, there's a lot of people that watch Hasan that are bigger fans than actual Hasan fans. I said, what I find funny is that people being up in arms over Pippa using the exact same tactics his orbiter had done, where it's like, he's a bad person, right? Why are you friends with this bad person? Which again, yeah, sure, fight fire with fire. Is that not exactly the way that people tend to use this kind of stuff, right? Like, if his orbiters are the ones that do this kind of stuff, why can't you do this back to them, right? I think it's fair enough, right? It was a clickbait slop, obviously talking about my, thing. Disappointed in Pippa, who seemed to be becoming better to stoop to such a lazy chud engagement bait. Guess rent was due. Obviously, yeah, clickbait slop. So I love this kind of, I guess, argument whenever it comes to my videos and stuff, whenever it's like clickbait slop. And, you know, you can call it clickbait slop if you want. It definitely is, you know, clickable. That's what I like to say, because obviously people click on it. And this was a very successful video. Because I made a good thumbnail, I made a good title, and people clicked on it. Now, obviously, I put he's done in regards to Hasan, obviously, because, you know, the collaboration that, you know, was cancelled. And the title of this video, I forgot exactly what I put it. Pipkin Pippa just sabotaged Hasan Piker in the craziest way. I think that's pretty accurate, right? He sabotaged, you know, she sabotaged his collaboration. There's no, like, bait here, you know, that's literally what happened. And I think a lot of people do forget to kind of point that out. Yes, of course, my titles and stuff are much more clickable and maybe like played up a lot, because of course, if I put like Hasan just like reacts to something on stream kind of, and it was okay, then of course nobody's going to watch that, right? Like, I mean, I think there is a very obvious, you know, way to do things, and that's why I'm a YouTuber and you're not, right? Because of course, that is one of the ways that you can get attention from people, is by obviously playing up a title and, you know, still being factual. You know, she still sabotaged Hasan's, you know, collaboration in a pretty crazy way, right? And that's factual. So again, if you would have hated that and you would have hated, let's say it's clickbait, then of course, sure. But I think you're getting the wrong definition of clickbait. What would be clickbait is that if I said, you know, Pipkin Pippa just sabotaged your stream, and she didn't do that, but she did. So I mean, I don't get your point there, but I do think it is quite funny whenever people bring up that kind of thing, right? So yeah, obviously saying, while I won't fault you for receiving another Fell For It Again award, you should have really known better than to have imagined that a Face Connect talent would ever be anything besides an anti-woke bigot. And obviously a lot of people have been replying to these. They're all hidden for some reason. I don't know why they're hidden. Is it just because they've been downvoted? I guess that's how Reddit works. I'm not like that, you know, chronically on Reddit, by the way, so I'm not too sure. But say, oh no, the animal abusing terrorist had to face some sort of accountability. It's not like he's ever used this in his fan base and influence to affect other creators. Chudders when making fun of a champagne socialist piker, as a dude unironically enjoys Hasan over Pippa. Yeah, I mean, that's a bit of a yikes, you know. So someone disagrees with me, therefore they must be a racist Nazi chud. Oh, of course, you know, 100%. That is always the way that they go about it. They say, I don't even think she disagrees with me on many things, but hitting Hasan bad button is literally the lazy, easiest way to get a boost by vice signaling to Nazis and racists. I mean, you know, just because you dislike someone like Hasan doesn't mean that you're a Nazi or a racist. I think that's pretty crazy to say. There's a lot of people out there who are even on the left and things like that who, of course, you know, dislike Hasan, especially after all of the Kaya dog stuff, right? People still, you know, dislike him, even if they are technically on the same side as him, right? And I think it is pretty crazy to see that, you know, happening. And a lot of people try to like kind of go in absolutes and say like, you're racist if you dislike Hasan. Is it? No, I think, you know, people are normal, right? There's some people in the middle, by the way. For example, if you think about the opposite side, like someone like Asmongold, right? There's some people in the middle who dislike both of them. Are you going to call them racist? I don't think you are, right? Because of course they dislike both of them. But you know, some people like to go to the absolute extremes whenever it comes to this kind of stuff, right? As a Pippa is based, said, why are you disappointed in Pippa? How was what she was doing engagement bait? You must be another Hasan dick rider. Which of course, yeah, I think they were referring to the Pippa thing as engagement bait, which I think is quite funny considering it was just a random clip in a stream, which ended up getting clipped by me and some other people as well and put on Twitter. I don't think Pippa actually ended up putting the clip on Twitter herself. It was actually done by other people. So again, if this was engagement bait, I guess, right? Obviously, Pippa did put up a post of John, you know, later on in response to this, but again, that was about it, right? So again, if this was engagement bait, then sure, but you know, Pippa didn't upload it, so I mean, you know, what do you want from that? Yes, the successful corporate VTuber must be really broke to want to screw over one of the worst people on the internet. Yeah, 100%. This just isn't true. The guy has literally said he's reconsidering his interview after this. Additionally, it's a interview. There are more important things going on. This is just some weird parasocial mudslinging from Pippa. There's a mass murder being like, oh, but the genocide. You're forgetting. Like, I'm gonna be honest. I think it's crazy that you know, you can tell whenever someone is a Hasan viewer because they always bring up, you know, things to do with either Palestine or Iran or whatever. Whenever we're talking about some random stream clip, right? They're like, oh yeah, but like thousands of people are dying and stuff like that. Yeah, that's terrible and all, but we're not talking about that, right? I think it's crazy whenever people try to do that, and they try to like, oh, but there's so much worse things going on in the world. You say, yeah, I know, it sucks, right? But you know, we're not discussing this, right? It's nice, always good to see people are going against the animal abuser, left or right wing. I think we can all agree that shocking your dog is wrong. 100%, 100%, right? You know, as I said, there's some people here, you know, that are, you know, fair enough. You know, they said, don't post that piece of shit grifting rat here. There are better ways to inform people than posting his videos here, which obviously I'm assuming they're talking about me there, which again, obviously, apparently I'm grifting, even though I'm just telling the truth, right? I'm just telling, you know, my opinions, but again, like grifting has become like the word of 2026. I feel like it's just like lots of people like to use it without actually understanding what it means. Obviously, you know, grifting has a kind of either monetary or kind of some other reward sense to it in terms of why they're doing it. And you know, some people like to use it because obviously they're getting views and they're getting you know, money and whatever. But I think whenever you're actually talking about your own opinions and you're actually giving your honest, you know, truth behind it, that's not grifting. If you're telling what you honestly think, I don't think that's grifting at all. Whereas obviously someone pretending to be, you know, having an opinion or whatever, then sure, you can say they're grifting. But I'm going to be honest, everything I say here is something that I personally believe in, right? So again, I think it is pretty crazy, right? They say they're both awful, let them fight, which I guess, right? And say, this was great, love seeing Hasan seize, total Pippa victory, Pippa my beloved. So this thread ended up not working out very well for a lot of people because it seems like a lot of the comments behind this actually are pretty positive towards Pippa and actually pretty anti-Hasan. Now, of course, a lot of the top comments here have the most upvotes in terms of, you know, people going, oh, clickbait slop, Pippa bad, whatever. But it seems like the majority of people have actually come in and yeah, actually went, actually, you know what? Pippa actually did a good thing here, right? And I think it is pretty crazy that some people are still trying to defend Hasan over literally everything. And I think that at the end of the day, what Pippa did was good and it was pretty funny, right? But obviously some people like to take things way too seriously. They like to label things as certain things that they might not understand about. And it is pretty funny to see at the end of the day. And, you know, posts like this are pretty funny to me, right? Because it's funny to see how aggravated people get over small little videos and small little things that happen. Because let's be real, at the end of the day, all of this doesn't really matter. And of course, to be fair, maybe this person was right in terms of what a nothing burger, but it's an entertaining nothing burger, right? Because at the end of the day, this doesn't have any consequences for anyone really, apart from Hasan missing out on a collab. And yeah, it's just entertaining for people that are watching from the outside, which to be honest, I think is a pretty good nothing burger. So, I mean, you know, a lot of people have been, you know, discussing that lately. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, good game subs, use my code Kaza, get 10% off. Again, got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.